please join me and Marnie for a very, very North Melbourne Christmas. Well, there's already giggles on the podcast, which is fantastic. And what a way to start this episode and the last episode of the year for Further North, because I need a break. I'm going to take a few weeks off and put my feet up, but there's no time for that yet. We've got Marnie Cohen here. That means you know it's a party, it's a celebration. Marnie, hello.
Of course, an episode of Further North starts with you and I just like laughing.
Yeah.
Typical.
I'm interested to listen back to that and see what that even sounds like, to be honest, because it's just going to be like little giggles and everyone's like, what are we listening to right now?
It's always a party, as you said, Josh, so kick the party off from the word go today.
Wow. Well, look, I think we need to get straight into this because it's festive. I have worn the only green item that I've got in the house to celebrate the Christmas spirit. My beard's red, the jumper's green, they're Christmas colours, and I think this is the most festive I can possibly be. So, look, we're here to have a North Melbourne Christmas. I don't know how many weeks it is until Christmas. It feels like a lot, but then it also feels like none at the same time, which is really, really weird. But we're going to celebrate a North Melbourne Christmas here. I need all the listeners to envision something in their minds, okay? This might be the episode to lay down, listen to, close the eyes, and we'll paint you a little word picture and you can follow along. Imagine a blue and white Christmas tree with lots of presents underneath. Myself and Marnie have 10 presents we're going to unwrap, and it's our North Melbourne wishes, basically, for Christmas time for next year. 10 things each that we want as our wishes for Christmas for North Melbourne in 2026. Some of them are fun, some of them are serious. We're going to discuss some stuff, and I want you to put yours in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, like the video, and send us positivity at this festive time of year. Put yours down below. What would you want for Christmas wrapped up in a little North Melbourne present? I think that would be really, really interesting. But as the guest, Marnie, I'm going to get you to kick this one off. So from your 10, what's the first thing you want for a very North Melbourne Christmas?
I just want to make one disclaimer before I start.
Okay.
I've written all of my wishes for the men's team. I think the women have had so much luck and success over the last few years that I just feel like the men need a little bit of manifestation and positivity thrown their way. So I just want to start that off. And with that, my first wish is a flag.
Well, you've really gone big, Marnie, because there's 9 more after this,
right?
And I feel like you've opened the biggest present first under the tree, and then the rest of the presents aren't going to be as good. You've gone for the biggest one, which is interesting. But look, that's a great wish. Give us a little rundown on this. I think explain it. I'll counteract, and we can discuss it, and then I'll come back at you with my first one.
There's nothing to explain. I think it's we're obviously winning the flag next year. We're going to do it from the wild card. I think we are in a great position to really catapult up the ladder. We could just do an Adelaide and go straight to first, but I think it would just add to the drama. Yeah, it would just add to the drama and to the storyline of our 5th flag if we won wild card weekend and then went on this sensational run towards our 5th premiership. So I think if all North, like every North fan should have that on their wish list, number 1, I would think. If not, okay, that's fine. But I'm dreaming big for 2026.
In classic Marnie Cohen fashion, we've gone big early. And look, I did have a sneaking suspicion, Marnie, that you were going to write that. So I haven't put that on my list because I didn't want to take your thunder, even though deep down I would love a wildcard premiership. I think that would be fantastic. But
of course, my
first present I want for North Melbourne Christmas is I want George Wardlaw's hamstrings to stay intact. I don't want to be waking up on Christmas Day to a message, Wardlaw hurts his hamstring in training. That's not what I want, okay? All I want is George Wardlaw to have bionic hamstrings, because if he does, he could be the greatest player North Melbourne has ever seen. I don't think it's too much to ask for, Marnie, but look, what do you think about that? Because I need this man's hamstrings to stay intact.
No hamstrings, no concussion. I think that's a really great one to kick us off. He actually did have a very, very strong preseason in 2025. And then as we etched closer towards the real thing, that's when the hamstring went pop and all of our hopes and dreams faded very quickly in front of our eyes. I do agree with you, though. I think he really needs to have a big off season and pre-season in the gym and kind of get his body right and get himself to a spot where we can get some consistent footy out of him, because I think that potentially that's impacted his fitness. Maybe it's impacted his ability to actually stay in games for longer. His best is unreal, and we love his headstrong attack on the footy and his grit and his toughness, but we don't get that often enough. I think a lot of comments have been made by some fans I've definitely seen throughout 2025 that, you know, there's games where he's had 11 touches at 45% efficiency. So definitely closing the gap between his best and worst, hopefully with improved fitness and no injuries. So yes, I do agree with you for sure.
Absolutely. Well, look, it's time for you to unwrap another present, Marnie. There's more under the tree. They're not as big as the first one, but that doesn't mean that it isn't as good of a present. Size doesn't matter. That's what people have told me a lot in my life. So we're going to keep rolling with that. So, Marnie, please unwrap the next. This is a rogue podcast. Unwrap the next present before I say more stuff.
I think size does matter actually with this second one.
Wow.
And that is a Griffin Logue redemption season.
Oh, okay. I've got this one too.
We need a reliable, well, it's no disrespect to Toby Pink or Charlie Comben. You could argue Charlie Comben plays more that interceptor role. It's no disrespect to Toby Pink. I loved the season that he had in 2025, but I think Griffin Logue is still the key to our backline really functioning at its peak. He came second in the 2-kilometre time trial a couple of weeks back. I think he finished third or fourth last season as well. He's a great endurance athlete. I think we sometimes forget his best footy is phenomenal.
It's quite good.
It's A plus. That season that we had for him in 2023, up until the point where he injured his ACL, he was pretty much unstoppable, and he really transformed our backline and the way that it functioned. We haven't seen that from him since, unfortunately. Only played 2 games last year, and then this season was in and out of form early on, and then he came back into the side pretty much through injury and held his spot for the second half of the year and only really had 1 or 2 good performances. So I want so badly for Griff to be able to re-find his best football, because I think that is going to be a big key for our backline to function well, for the development of a Will Dawson and a Blake Threadgold who have just come across. I just think if he can be the maestro down back, he's at that age now, he's in his late 20s, like he really should be able to do that. Aiden Corr's reaching the end of his career. He's also injury prone, so I don't know what we'll get from him year on year throughout. So I think really it's Griff's time to step up and shine.
Absolutely, yes. This is one I had as well. I said Griff Logue to prove the doubters wrong, and look, I've slightly doubted it as well, but I think, and I agree with what you said. I think he can be a really important part of this team, and I think he can be in our finals team whenever that is. And I really think he's got the ability to be a key pillar down there. A fully fit Griffin Logue makes our backline a lot better. And I love the Threadgold acquisition. We're best friends now, as we know. Will Dawson is Joel the Mole's favourite son. These guys are part of the future as well. But right now, in 2026, we need a healthy Griffin Logue if we're going to improve defensively. Those other two can add, but maybe can't add as much as a healthy Griffin Logue at his age. So just to mix mine up a little bit then, because I did have Griff Logue, there was another name that I was going to put on. I was going to say Griff Logue and someone else, and I'm going to put this someone else in there. I want CCJ to prove the doubters wrong. Okay, now this was my guy a few years ago, and I completely jumped off the CCJ train, which was fair enough.
That's
and
so
I'm not trying to, well, look,
So
I'm
fair
not
enough.
trying to tell anybody that he's going to, kick more goals than Larky next year. But what I think is I reckon he could be a really important part of the squad. And I reckon there's a massive chance he plays round 1. And I think there's a big chance that he plays a decent handful of games and is serviceable. And I think he could be a contributor, especially when we need to rotate until a Taylor Goad comes on, or do we continue to go with a Darling or put a Trembath in the ruck or something like that. So I'll swap my Grifflogue out for CCJ. I would really like him to come in and just be a really good role player because I think we miss a player like that. I think especially with 5 subs, if we can get him to chop out in the forward line and be a good backup ruckman, I think it can really improve the team. And I don't want to see Darling up there in the ruck anymore. Keep him down in the forward line. Or if halfway through the season, Darling is, his legs are hurting because he's a granddad now, then, we've got Whitlock up there and we've got Trembath up there, and those guys can take the reign from him. I don't want to be in a position where we're like, oh my God, Jack Darling isn't playing as well anymore, so who's our backup ruckman? I want CCJ to be like, that's me, guys, and I can kick goals too. So I want CCJ to be a really good squad player for the North Melbourne Football Club.
We are just like a well-oiled machine. I'll feed straight off that one for my next one. I think he can be a really, really important part to this side because on my wish list is for Jack Darling to get his 40-plus goals next season. We had the goal watch in 2025. He kicked 25 goals when he spent 25% of the time in the ruck. I think that's a pretty good return for JD. He also didn't miss a game through injury. I think Jack Darling, and we all know his best football is when he is predominantly in the forward line. He had a couple of bags of 3 throughout the season. That's when he was in the forward line later on in the year when Larky was out injured. I know that in the past couple of weeks, now that the side's starting to return, Cooper Trembath has been doing a little bit of work in the ruck as well. We tried that with Finbar and didn't really work. And I mean, I think we all can see, and, one of them's on the list and one of them isn't anymore. Trembath sort of bypassed him. He's worked a lot on his athleticism and his fitness leading into being drafted. So I really think that someone like CCJ, if we can get him fit, firing on the park, even if we do see more of Taylor Goad later on in the season, or if Trembath does chop Sherry out in the ruck, I think all those things allow Jack Darling to stay forward. I just want like one game from JD where he just like goes bananas. I think a lot of people probably forget what a good player he was in his prime because he was all the way over in Perth. But he's a fantastic player and he's a great athlete, and to still be contributing in the ruck and up forward the way he has been. And he had plastic surgery on his calf after that game against Carlton, and he was thinking about playing against Hawthorn 5 days later or whatever. Crazy stuff. So he's a great guy. Everyone knows how much I love JD. I don't have to go on about it anymore. So yes, I really hope that those things can unlock a 40-plus goal season and a full season up forward for Jack Darling.
Well, look, the podcast has been going for 12 minutes and you've already got us winning a premiership, Jack Darling and Aiden Korchat into the show. So, look, if one of your wishes is to bring back Jasper Pittard, I'm not going to be surprised at all, to be honest, or Hugh Greenwood. So, look, it is what it is. But, hey, we've got more wishes, so you never know. I think I might have read out Marnie's next 2 wishes accidentally just then. Okay, here's a big one, Marnie. This is a very important one, I think, for North Melbourne fans and the pride of North Melbourne's fan base. I want to beat Essendon, okay? I want to finally beat the Essendon Football Club. We haven't beaten them since round 8, 2016 with my research that I did. That is too long for a club that is not very good. We should be beating them in 2026. This is the year. I want to have the bragging rights. I want to be able to whip out a Frank the Tank in the stands. That's what I want. That's maybe my number one here. I want to beat the Bombers in 2026.
Yeah. And we've got them on a Saturday night as well. It's our only prime time game that we've got in that first half of the year. So I definitely think there would be no better place to do it and no better way to do it. Get the jump on them early, give us a little bit of confidence. I'll feed off that one once again.
Okay.
I want us to just have a couple of more really comprehensive, complete victories. Quite similar. I mean, what we saw against the D's in round 2 was something that I don't think the fan base has seen for a very, very long time. I think up against the opposition that it was. We've had some big wins over some sort of lower hanging fruit over the previous few seasons. But, even like that game against Carlton at the MCG, we were up by 9 goals or something, 8, 9 goals halfway through the third quarter, and then we sort of just faded away a little bit. So I'd love for us to just have like put the foot down and have like a couple like really good 4-quarter performances that turn into wins at the end, and like really comprehensive, complete victories. I guess we're kind of at a stage now where those are important, and it's important to learn how to win in any scenario. But I would just love us to really just get a little bit more fruits for our labor and get a little bit more reward for effort when we are able to get the jump on these teams and kind of put the sword down a little bit, and walk away with a couple more like really big convincing victories.
I think we can do that too with how close we were in a lot of games. I think we've said it a lot on the pod, but 7 wins, around 2 goals or under, and I think that sparked massive improvement for the team. And, we've learned to be in games, and now it's time to take that next step and actually start winning them. And then when we are up and we do have leads, make sure we win them. And don't have any doubt. I want to be confident that we can actually hold a lead. And that's a massive part of the development. But hey, we talked about Griffin Logan, that sort of stuff, but they're players that can help us do that. A new midfield coach, let's get these midfield guys running back and helping defend a lot more. And I think that's going to be able to do it. So look, I mentioned coaching staff, and my next present for North Melbourne Christmas next year, I want Clarko to give us another holding the ball on the boundary line.
I want him. Wrote that.
We're on the same page, Marnie.
We are way too good at this.
I want Clarkson standing on that white line, giving one of these when George Wardlaw mows down Jason Horne-Francis in round 1. That's what I want. You know what? Screw the Essendon one before. That's the number one for me. I want Clarko giving us another holding the ball, or just fun Clarko like that on the boundary line. Something I want to see him on the touchline, just being a guy, just having fun, just hanging with the lads. I think it would be so good and great for team morale.
Mine literally says more Clarko sideline antics.
Fantastic.
That's outrageous. That is outrageous. That's how long we've been doing this for together. Yes, more from Clarko. It was really nice to see him on the bench in the latter part of 2025. So hopefully we can get a little bit more fun and playful Clarko, animated Clarko coming out on the sidelines. That's hilarious. I also had that one.
The journos are going to be out. It's going to be knives out if he's doing antics on the touchline, though. I tell you what, Caro's going to be coming, Kane Corn's going to be all over that. That's going to headline every single Channel 7. But hey, if we start winning some games, maybe the heat isn't going to be on us as much. But especially if he repeats it, if we're playing Fremantle over in the West, I know it's at Bunbury this year, but if he hits up another one of those over against the Dockers, I think that will be fantastic. So look,
unbelievable.
I think we represent all North Melbourne fans here, Marnie, when we say we want more Clarkson antics on the sidelines. And I want him to keep sticking up for the club. I know some people think he's grumpy or he can lash out a little bit. I want if anyone tries any rubbish in press conferences, I want him getting back to, this is our house. Don't disrespect us when you're in here. Okay, we're on the mend as well. So, look, I'm glad we're on the same page with that one, Marnie. Do you want to give me one more then, because I stole yours? I think we might double up a few more here. I don't know. I'm looking at mine here and I wonder. But
I think we will definitely double up and have more. I think this is the year that Tristan Cherry gets his All-Australian blazer. It has to be. He's sort of just emerged in the last 24 months as one of the premier ruckmen in the competition. And I love Max Gawn and what he's been able to do for such a long period of time. And obviously Brodie Grundy has really reinvented himself in Sydney, and Darcy Cameron. He's obviously been great for Collingwood as well. But it's the North tax. I think we all feel it. And look, Tristan Cherry's suspension is probably the difference between him making the All-Australian side and not. But I really think that this has to be the year where he's recognised as one of the premier ruckmen in the comp. Now, I don't know how the ruck changes are going to impact him, impact his ability, but we know that, and one of the biggest knocks you and I had on him in 2023 compared to what he did in 24 and 25 is the way he could impact around the ground and not just kind of throw his weight around unnecessarily in the middle. But he really is the one that starts everything in the middle of the ground. And yes, he's got some great users of the ball at his feet, but he's really the guy. he's winning clearances, he's tackling, he also pushes up forward, gets some goals, like he goes down back and mark, like he really is like that complete player now. He got his best and fairest in 2025, and I hope next year he goes a step further and gets his All-Australian blazer as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with the ruck rules. I mean, my gut feeling is it doesn't change much. I mean, I believe they've only had the current ruck rule that they've just changed in for 2 or 3 seasons anyway, before they changed it again a few years ago. So I don't know. I don't remember them changing the rule and feeling like the ruck contest felt that much different just from a viewer of the game. So, and like he sort of said when they interviewed him about it, he goes, if I need to jump, I'll jump. And I think it's just get on with the job. I don't think it'll change much at all to the ruck contests. I mean, he can stand there and body you, or you can run into him in midair, but he's still a gigantic human. So yeah. I'm not too fussed about that. I think, I would absolutely love that. He's been disrespected 2 years ago. I think he was the obvious choice. Obvious is a stretch, but like he was the guy, right? I think he was the best ruck in the league 2 years ago. Last year, I'd probably slightly get it to go on. The suspension is a big part of that, but I don't know if he was quite as good as the year before. Maybe that's just because it was the breakout year potentially. But yeah, he's in his prime. He's a North guy. He's got hopefully a fit George Wardlaw and those players in there, and she's in there all season. You know, if we get and other players in there, which is going to lead on to my next one, I think he can shine with the midfield around him as well. If he can start taking those marks on the wing and those dump kicks out of the back line, that will make him not flawless, but as close to flawless as maybe a player could be, because everything else he does really, really well. If he can take some marks around the ground and even add a couple more goals, I think then you're looking at the All-Australian ruckman. And he's improved every year, so let's see if he can do it again. Now, one of his partners in the midfield that I want to see in the midfield is my guy, the greatest player to ever step foot on a sporting field, Colby McKercher. I want Colby McKercher to get midfield minutes and heavy midfield minutes. I know he's probably not in your 3 of LDU, Shees, Wardlaw. That's the 3 for me. Him and Foss need to be the next man up, okay? I love Tom Powell. As people know, he's my favorite ever person in the world. But, you know, I think he did a lot better around the ground. I don't think his centre bounce attendance numbers were fantastic. I think around the ground he can be a lot more damaging with his link up and his work rate. I think Foss and Colby need to be in there more than a Simpkin and a Powell are going to be. I want Parker in there still, but maybe play a little bit more forward. Let's get these young guys in there and integrate them into the midfield. If we can add pace on top of what the midfield is already building, it's an element that we haven't seen. LDU's first couple of steps are quick and explosive, but he's not a rapid player. Colby can be the guy to actually be able to run that ball out, take a bounce and spear that onto Larky Trembath Darling's chest. And I think that's another level of dynamism we can get in that midfield. So I want Colby, the number 4 guy in that midfield centre bounce. I want him the first man up when someone needs a rest. Clarko, I know you're listening. Please put Colby McKercher in the midfield. I saw his interview he did, I think, with Will Thursfield in the preseason a couple of weeks ago. Hey, he's bulked up. He's on the Will Dawson plan as well. He's put on some size. He's ready for it. Remember that game against Richmond? He got 10 tackles. He's ready for it. Put him in the guts.
I think I actually did have that one on my first list, but I changed it up a little bit, which is funny. But I think having the pace of Colby and the disposal of Foss combining further afield would just make us so much better off. And yes, it's really important that we can get these guys winning the ball out of our defensive 50, but then the breakdown comes and we try and execute into our forward 50. So I do think it is going to be a really, really important one for us. My next one will hopefully unlock a Foss Kirch in the middle. I want to see Josh Godar and Braden George on the park. I think this is it. I think this is their final year. I don't think either of them will get another contract if they can't get themselves on the park. They're both on 1-year contracts. The club really repaid them and showed their faith in them. Again, both of them injury interrupted seasons. They couldn't get any senior footy. This is it. We know what both of them are able to do, particularly Josh Godar. I think it's so important that we can start to get a bit of consistency and a bit of footy into him. There's no Darcy Tucker and there's no Miller Bergman. We let both of them go at the end of 2025. Luke McDonald will be looking at life after footy, not yet. I think Luke McDonald's still got some really good footy to offer. But Jackson Archer, he missed all of pretty much last season through injury as well. We don't have depth in that general small defensive area anymore, because a lot of the guys that we have in those positions are attacking. I mean, you've got Foss, you've got Colby McKercher, you've got Caleb Daniel. It allows us to have more defensive players in the defense. It allows Riley Hardiman to replace Caleb Daniel in that sort of distributor off halfback role. We know that Riley Hardiman had a great year and we know what he can do. It allows someone like a Foss or Kirch to push further afield so we can actually have genuine defenders in the back line. So I think it's make or break for both of these guys. I love both of them as people, and I think both of them could be really great players for us in the future. So hopefully we get a sample size of them on field and see what they can do.
It's interesting with those two. I mean, Braden George is a strange one because where do you think he fits into this team? Because I feel like him and Dersma are both vying for a spot, and Dersma's got a lot better chance and I think is the more talented player, that being both of them are talented, at getting in that team. And I don't know if I see those guys getting into the team as much. I mean, I've got a Dersma one here, which maybe I can lead on with, but, you know, I struggle to see where Braden George will fit into the team at all because he feels very similar to a Zerha and a Curtis, which is what he was in his draft year, like that medium-sized forward who can create, likened to Stevie J in the draft. I think when we start, and I said this a lot about Dersma the year before, I think when you start throwing players into different positions, it means maybe that they're not quite working out in what we thought they were going to be. It feels unfair to say, I guess, because Braden hasn't played a game yet, and I really hope he gets a game. I hope he gets an opportunity. But I don't know if those guys are right for the wing, or I don't want to see Braden George at a half back. I don't think that's where he goes. So I think it'd be really hard for him to get into the team, although I do hope I see him in the team and I hope he has some fantastic twos for him. As for Josh Goater, I think that's maybe the slightly more intriguing one where, you know, I know we differ on Caleb Daniel a little bit. Like I kind of want to add one now, but like Caleb Daniel maybe proving some people as well, because I think if there's Archer, if you get a Goater in there, if you get a fit Griffin Logue, and you move Colby's into the midfield, I think if we've got a better defensive unit, I think you'll see the best of him like we saw in patches last year. So it'd be so interesting where Goater fits into that team because he's about 190 and he can play smaller, he can play taller as well. He could be super dynamic. So I really hope he does get a run. Goater's the really interesting one, but I do feel like it'll be him and Hardiman vying for the spot. But that does depend on Archer's fitness as well. But Archer plays such a different role. So, look, we've got selection headaches, which is good because it means we've actually got players who are fit and are going to be coming back into the team. But ideally, I mean, where do you see Braden George playing in the team? What position do you see him at?
Look, I think he did spend some time in defense leading into season 2025. So I think there is that option. I've heard rumors of a couple other names that we may see popping up in defense that we haven't seen before. I think a lot of it might come down to how we use that fifth rotation on the bench as well. And I was having this discussion with Brad on the channel during the week. North really have a need for speed. We are the slowest ball moving like transition side from defense to offense. So whether we look to have another runner and maybe that opens a door for a name like a Bailey Scott as well as another name that we don't really talk about, but Dylan Stevens has definitely got that wing covered over Scott. So maybe we see him come back into the side and maybe we inject a little bit more run, a bit more pace into the side. Or are we looking to use that fifth sub to try and develop some of these taller guys like a Goad or a Dawson or a Whitlock, because we are going to need to start exposing them at the top level. And, you know, do you want to do that at the expense of experience? So I think they're still a little bit up in the air as well. I also think, and I know that Jacob Constanti plays a different role. I know Cooper Harvey plays a different role, and I think we'll probably see Doveston in one of those small forward positions as well. But there's no reason as to why Braden George can't play a little bit smaller. I don't think personally for me that Constanti or Harvey are a lock in this side still. I think together they would combine as a dream player because one is really strong offensively and one's really strong defensively, but neither of them are the complete player yet for me. And so potentially if Braden George can find a way to get himself into the side, could he be the guy? I mean, that's why we went after Doveston in the first place. We have this desperate need for this really pest, live wire, explosive small forward. So we know we've got one of them who can also hit the scoreboard, but I still think the other position is still up for grabs. And I wouldn't have, while Constanti played every game last year, I wouldn't have him necessarily as a lock. I still think there's positions in this side that can be improved upon. So there's still a few moving parts, and I think there's still things we can experiment with. And that's the really exciting thing. Maybe now for the first time in a really long time, we do have some genuine depth. We've got some serious competition for spots. I think it's really good if we can have 29, 30, 31 guys who are AFL primed and ready to go, and it's best man win.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, selection headaches are a good problem, but a problem nonetheless. So we'll see. We'll see. I want to see where Braden George plays in the twos. I think that'll be really interesting to see what position they're going to try and put him into. And can he play a little bit smaller? He could be a really creative player. So look, good luck to him. Speaking of the forward line, I want every opposition fan by the end of the season to hate Doveston, because that means he's been really good. And that's what I really, really want. He's got little prick written all over him, tip rat, all that sort of stuff. And we need him, but he's our tip rat. He's our little prick. And that's what I want him to be. And that's what he seems like. And by all his accounts, that's what he says he's going to be as well. I want every opposition fan to hate this bloke by the end of the year, because that means we've got our Nick Watson 2.0. And I think that would be the best possible scenario. What do you think Doveston can do? Do you think he can be that next season?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's got to work hard to create opportunities, because it's not like a Hawthorn where supply is aplenty. But I definitely think he can be that player. He's just got to get to work, really. But I like that he's got this chip on his shoulder. I like the arrogance. I like that. We haven't had a player like that for quite some time, probably since Lindsay Thomas, and pretty much every opposition fan hated Lindsay Thomas, but he wore his heart on his sleeve. He bled blue and white. That man would take a bullet for the club. And I think those are the kinds of players that we need. We need someone that's going to be marketable and that's going to be talked about. And it's going to be a lot of pressure, I think, for him to have on his shoulders at such a young age. But he also kind of strikes me as the guy that would probably thrive. I think the key to that is for him just to be himself. And I think as fans, we need to actually just really embrace him for all of his quirks. And I think just all of his arrogance and his like youthful arrogance, really. He's an 18-year-old kid. He's got a bit of flair. And I think that's going to be the key for him to succeed the most, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's also probably the sort of player off the field that would benefit North Melbourne a lot. More eyes, more chat. And we're old dogs now, Marnie. We're not in this new generation, but the new generation love players like this. Jack Ginnivan is a star to anyone in high school, you know what I mean? But to us, we're like, oh, bloody arrogant kids and all that sort of stuff. Get off my lawn sort of stuff, you know? But the kids love it, and I think that is an important part of the game. I said something similar in the draft year for Harley Reid, where, you know, if we were potentially going to trade up, whatever the situation was, I was saying, like, Harley Reid will be as valuable off the field for us as he would have been on the field, where marketability of players is super, super important in this day and age. Like it or not, it just is. We need more of that. We don't really have heaps of marketable players. Shees is like super clean-cut marketable, which is not a bad thing at all. But we do need some of those guys that, you know, off the field, the kids love them. Everyone follows them on social media. They say things, people listen and react. It can come across as negative sometimes, but especially for North Melbourne as a smaller football club, I think it could really, really benefit us. So, look, Doveston, make everyone hate you, my friend. That's what we want. But, Marnie, it's time for you to unwrap another present.
I think there's going to be a bit of fence sitting for this one. Okay. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I want the return of Jai Simpkin next year. I want him to step down as captain if the club don't do it. I think he should step aside. Luke McDonald's form in 2025 was the best we've seen since his best and fairest year in 2020. I'd say it's probably Luke McDonald's second best season that he's had, maybe since the very, very beginning of his career. But the pressure taken off him, we just saw him enjoying his footy, saw some of the best of his footy return. I think it was similar when Jack Zabel stood down as captain a couple of years before that. I think for Jai, and he was so open and refreshingly honest at the end of the trade period, explaining what kind of drove him to maybe seeking a change outside of North Melbourne. He seems to be fully committed, and he seems to be really back and invested in the club. And look, knowing Jai, I know Jai quite well, and that just was a surprise in general for me because he really loves the club. Like, he's not someone that, like there's players who like love the club, but they've got like these not that he doesn't have interests outside the club, but I think there's guys you can just tell they're fully invested, and others maybe don't show their investment in the same way. I think Cam Zurhaar's a really good example of that. Cam Zurhaar, I think off the field is very nonchalant. He's got his balls cooking and he's kind of got a different persona off the field, but clearly through his action of re-signing, and I think a lot of us were on the fence about him re-signing up until the point when he did, but you could tell his investment and his love for the club shone through in that way in his action. Whereas with Jai, I've always really seen him as like really loving the club and embracing it, taking it on his shoulders, and just being that real passionate, heart on sleeve player. So the whole debacle over the trade period and what unfolded was a real surprise to me. And his silence was probably really surprising to me as well. But you kind of just got to take him on face value and what we've seen since. And that's, his pledge to the club and his pledge to the future of the club, and really looking like he's reinvested and recommitted. And I really, really want him to step up, embrace that role on the wing, and just be a part of this club's success moving forward. You can't forget he's a dual best and fairest winner. He has been a captain for us, and at times he has been one of our best players. I think it speaks volumes about the wing position when, in my mind, Jai's 2 games on the wing, and I've said this a few times in the off-season, but Jai's 2 games on the wing in rounds 23, 24 were the 2, in my opinion, best performances of anyone on the wing. And it's not to knock anyone who's in that position. I just think his talent really shone through, and I thought he was great in that position. So I just want him to lose the captaincy, step down. You can still be a leader and lead through your action, but pass that baton on to somebody else, get to work and just really start contributing on field again and just enjoying his footy and let that show.
I completely agree with you. A lot of the North fans have been very positive with Jai. Others have been negative. I agree with what you said where you got to take him at face value. He's explained his end of the stick, and I think that's completely fair enough. If he comes out in round 1 and has a game like he did on the wing the last few games of last season, then no one's going to care about what happened in the off-season anymore. As much as North Melbourne fans are very passionate and so committed to the football club and absolutely love the place and want to stick up for the club over player, we can also have a little bit of goldfish brain because and that is absolutely me included, where the second that something positive happens, we sort of can forget about the negative, almost the other way around as well at some point. So Luke McDonald stepping down from that captaincy helped him so much. We forget how good he was last year until the injury. Jackson Archer went out. We were all scared. Luke McDonald stepped up and we were like, oh, it's okay. I think Jai can absolutely do that. I love Jai Simpkin. I don't doubt his commitment to the club. I fully understand the life circumstance and wanting a change of scene. That doesn't mean you didn't like the place, but he was trying to do what he thought maybe is best for his circumstance. But not once did I feel like he was forcing his way out, and I like that he said the only way that would have happened is if the deal was correct for North Melbourne as a football club. He wasn't going to force his way out for chips like a lot of other players like Merritt, Hugo Hagen and other players like that tried to do. So I think there'll be a bit of a Jai Simpkin redemption arc. I think he's a fantastic player. I think we forget how good he is. And yeah, I really, really hope next year that he just has one of the best years of his career. He could be a top 5 in our BNF easily. he's more than talented enough to be. I can see him playing a little bit of a Josh Dacos role on a wing as well, where he's not the quickest player ever, but he can use his game awareness. If he can get his kicking slightly better, because he did have some pretty bad turnovers, if he can get that out of his game, I think he can play a very similar role for us, where he's linking up between flanks, creating and helping move the ball forward in a positive way. So, look, North Melbourne fans, Jai Simpkin's done so much more positive for this club than negative. We've got to get behind him because I think he could be a really good player, and he's going to be a leader, if not an official leader. He'll still be a leader on the field, and he can be in our next finals team as well. Speaking of someone who's going to be in our next finals team, Marnie, I want the Cooper Trembath hype to be real. He's played 3 games. He's averaging 3 goals a game. I want this hype to be reality. Now, does he have to average 3 goals a game for the rest of his career? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. But I want it to be really good. I want him to be good. I want him to be that forward that we need. I want him and Whitlock and Larky to be the 3. Probably by the end of next season, I would love to see those 3 being our forwards. I want Darling to pass the torch to someone through the year. I think Darling will start the year.
What do you mean? Jack Darling's not going to play forever?
Well,
when
I
were you
didn't want to be
planning
the
on
first one
telling
to
me
tell you
this?
this, Marnie. I didn't want to do it so publicly. But yeah, I don't know if Jack Darling has
You really could
a
have
lot
saved
left
this
in the
for
tank.
after the recording, couldn't you?
Well, look, if you need to
just
flip
do it
the
here
camera
now.
off just for a second, have a moment. I'm happy to carry the baton here for a second and have your reaction, mate. This is a safe space. It's only you and me. No one else is listening. It's not on a public platform. It's not on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. It's just us talking right now. So, look, Jack Darling's job at this football club is to be the leader in that forward line and pick his guy to be like, here are my wings. Get under him, boys. Who's taken the baton from me to be the next guy next to Larky? And it's going to be one of those guys, if not both. And I do hope that Whitlock and Trembath are those guys. I love the look of Matt Whitlock. I mean, look at the pythons on the bloke he's come back with. He's got pipes for arms now, which is fantastic. Just, having a bit of a connection to Cooper. A lot of his best mates, one of his best mates comes into the shop, and, the times I've chatted to Cooper, he's so accommodating with discussion to me, and I just back him so much. I've never heard a bad word about this guy. I've never heard a bad word about his work rate, his work ethic, his mindset. And I think he's got the ability to be a really good, solid AFL footballer. Where that ceiling lies, I don't know. He is a mid-season draft pick, but the glimpse he's given us is too exciting for us to put that down and chill out. But I want to temper my expectation a little bit because I don't expect him to kick 3 goals every single game. But I do not expect, but I'm really, really hoping, I think he can be our second best forward, which is incredibly exciting. So look, my present here is I want the Cooper Trembath hype to be real.
I love Cooper so much. He's such a good guy. And I think the one thing that he's got over a lot of other players and maybe just differs from maybe the mindset of North Melbourne generally. I think he thinks anything is possible. And I think that's such an important thing to have. Like, he doesn't see there to be a ceiling. Like, he thinks the sky is the limit. I didn't think he would make his debut in 2024. In 2025. I thought he would maybe just develop and just kind of get some footy under his belt, because he only played that 1 game for the North Melbourne VFL side before being drafted in the mid-season draft. So I thought he'd just get, some time in the system, find his bearings, and then go bang in 2026. But no, like, he walked in after being drafted in that mid-season draft, and one of his goals before the end of the year was to make his debut. I mean, I think that's really ambitious, but I love that about him. He missed 3 drafts. So he missed 2024 mid-season draft, 2024 end of season draft, and then the 2023 draft as well. So he's put in the work to get himself into a position to get on an AFL list. And I think he, more than anything, wants to be able to do that and to work hard. And he's only got a year. He's got a year to prove himself. And I'm sure we all want him to stay, and I'm sure he wants to be at North Melbourne as much as we all want him to be there. So hopefully we can see a continuation of what he showed at the end of last season and flow on in 2026. And yeah, I do agree with you. I think he can be that guy next to Nick Larky in the future. And yes, you're right. As sad as it is, and as much as I want Jack Darling to play on forever, the best thing for this football club will be when Jack Darling steps aside, because that's how we know we're ready to go in the forward line. So breakout year for Cooper Trembath. It also has to be the breakout year for Zane Dersma. I also had Zane Dersma written down here. This is it. He can really take a leaf out of Cooper's book. I think Zane, we know he's incredibly talented. I think his dad did an interview shortly after the draft, because obviously now all 4 Dersmas are in the AFL season. And he said that Zane is actually the most talented of the group. He just needs to be the one that needs to actually work hard and want it. It's time now. He's got so much opportunity to break into this side. Like, the best Zane Dersma football walks into this 23.
Yeah.
So he's now actually got to prove to us that he deserves to be there. I like that we're not gifting him games. On the flip side, I think we need to just lock him into one position and let him play, because I think continuity and consistency is going to be a real key for him to actually build this confidence up and actually start finding the footy and playing his best football. So this is it. Pressure's on. I think it's a big year for the football club and for a lot of individuals at the club, and he's pretty high up on that list.
I completely agree. I also had I want to see a Dersma breakout year. I don't know exactly the position. I think it's more likely a wing role. And with Stevens and Simpkin, where does McKercher go? Like, there's options there. Even younger guys in Mukunda, you're potentially going to come in and play that role as well. So the wing role can be a bit more hybrid. Tom Powell, throw him in there. Bailey Scott, do we see him make a return to form? So it's so interesting with Dersma. Yeah, I think that piece you were talking about was I think Channel 7 or someone did a draft piece on Willem Dersma, and there his dad did an interview on it and talking about he's the most talented. And I think from what we've seen, Xavier Dersma at Essendon is a very good player, but he's a good AFL player. He's not going to be a star. Zane has shown he can be a star. He's shown moments, that huge goal, clutch goal on the run against Essendon, his marks. We know that he can be a superstar. Willem hasn't played yet, so we'll see where that one lies, but he needs to do it now. He absolutely needs to do it now. I was completely off him last year, and rightly so. He wasn't good. His work ethic wasn't there. You can't just get by on talent. And we've seen this from a lot of people. I think Harley Reid has learned that lesson over the last couple of years as well. I don't think he's been anywhere near the level that a number 1 draft pick of his quality needed to be, even though I think he'll grow into that and still be a very good AFL player. I think it's probably the hardest thing for a lot of these guys to learn is you've been the best because you've been the biggest or the fastest or the strongest all your life until you get to AFL level. And then it's a man's game at that point. It's time to be an adult. You're not just going to get by because you're talented anymore. You got to work harder than the other people. So if he can find that, we could have a superstar on our hands. I'm 50-50 on it, though. I want to see that breakout year from him. I'll be backing him, and I'll be excited when I see him in the team. Hopefully he has a good enough preseason to play round 1. But I'm very 50-50 on it. I think he's either going to be a star or he'll be gone. I don't think he's going to be like a role player on the team or just a good player. I think it's going to be one or the other for him. So good luck to Zane. I really do back him, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know. What percentage chance are you giving it, Marnie? Because I'm so split on Zane Dersma.
Yeah, I'm also pretty skeptical, to be honest. It's the Shane and Booba Harvey comparison.
Wow.
So Shane.
Wow.
No, hold on.
No, it's true. I get you. I'm just I haven't thought about Shane Harvey for a while.
Well, Shane Harvey was like a first round draft pick. I think he went at pick 11 in his draft year to Essendon, and Boomer was pick 47 famously, was bypassed a lot. They thought he'd be too small, thought he'd never make it. The work ethic and the discipline that Boomer showed, as opposed to raw talent that Shane had, that's why their careers went in 2 completely different directions. So I think Zane Dersma could learn a lot from Harry Sheezel, the discipline and the effort and the professionalism that and look, Harry Sheezel's a really unique case, especially in this day and age. Maybe, back when Boomer was playing in the late 90s, early 2000s, it would be a little bit more common. But for Harry, he's so disciplined, he's so routine, but that's what makes him the player that he is and has already been in 3 seasons. I would love to just see the two of them working a little bit more hand in hand. I also know that Luke Parker and Zane Dersmer, I believe, are really close as well. So
I was going to say him as a role model as well, Luke Parker's.
There's a reason why his career has spanned, such a long period of time. So I think being in the environment of North Melbourne and being surrounded by these guys, he could probably learn a thing or two. He's has to put the work in, and he's got to know that this is sort of his last chance to make it work at North. If an Essendon came a knocking, is that necessarily a more attractive prospect? I don't know. And it's it's not because the anti-Essendon thing. I genuinely don't know. The way he's been, the way he was in season 2025, you're not going to get a game at most clubs, to be honest, if that's kind of what you're putting out. It's a harsh reality. And I think we really, again, it's what we said about Cam Zurhaar leading into season 2024 before he signed that big deal. You've got to prove to us that you want it as much as we need to prove to you that we can get on the right track as well. So big year. He is probably in the top 3 players under the most pressure, in my opinion, heading into season 2026. But I would like to think that we can find a role for him to bring that best footy out of him.
Yeah, completely agree. I've got 2 more here. I've got 2 more and they're big. And I've got a couple of W1s in here. I'm being greedy.
Okay, go for it.
I want a 3-peat, Marnie. I want a 3-peat. I'm not settling for 2 in a row. I think it's just not on. I want 3 of them. You haven't lost a game in 2 years. Get 3. If you're a team that doesn't lose a game for that long, 3 premierships is the only thing that makes sense to me. The girls are incredible. They're young. They keep finding stars. We just had a former number 1 pick want to come over to our football club. Let's go 3-peat, baby. And I think probably 4, to be honest. But let's concentrate on 3 first, and then we'll get on to the next one. I interviewed Blaheen Bogue, and if you haven't seen that, please go over and watch that. And I love Blaheen. She's an absolute breakout superstar, the definition of a breakout superstar in any code of any sport. And I said, look, it's 3-peat time, Blaheen. And she said, we'll see. But that really means, I've got you covered. Don't worry about it. So I want 3. Absolutely. I want 3 from the girls, 3 premierships in a row, please.
I'd love that. Who wouldn't love that? I think this list is so deserving of it as well. The girls, it's just, they'll celebrate. I love the off season. The fact that this celebration has lasted a week now and rolling into Jenna Bruton's 30th over the weekend, I think has been unbelievable. I think they really do deserve it though. They are really hard workers. They're real head down, bum up, and they'll get straight back to work come pre-season. So yes, I do agree with you. I think they are very, very well deserving of a 3-peat should it land up that way.
And it should, because they're very, very good.
It should.
All right, Marnie, hit me with another one, please. Unwrap one of your final presents.
This is my last one. Sorry, I have a croaky thing in my throat. An uninterrupted year for Paul Curtis. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Across season 2025, and you wonder what heights he could have reached if he didn't have that initial suspension first and foremost, because when he returned, it took him a good month to kind of get himself going again, and then he had the second suspension later on in the year. So no suspensions, just continue on that peak form. He may even find himself in an All-Australian position as well if he can 100%. Continue on that trajectory that he showed in season 2025. So 23 games out of 23 games for PC for me.
That would be incredible. And that is a lot of goals, which is incredibly exciting. I mean, him and Zurhaar, I'm looking at this forward line and I'm just thinking, how many goals do they have in them? And, I think Zurhaar and PC can kick 40 each next season. I don't see why they couldn't. Larky, I would want 50 to 60 from him. And then you look at it, what can Darling, Trembath and Will Dawson, if he gets to go up there, contribute? There's more goals. Doverston now, realistically, are we expecting maybe like 15 from Doveston or something like that in his first year? I think that would be an okay return, or even a goal a game. I think would be a 15 to 20 for Doveston, depending on how many games he plays. I think would be a really good result. We've got goals up there now. Then you look at Shees, Dezelda, you get on the board more. Colby running forward, Luke Parker. There's goals in this team. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. And Paul Curtis can nearly lead that charge. I mean, him and Larkey up there are probably our two most threatening players, with Azurha a very close third. Man, Paul Curtis could be anything. I mean, if you ask opposition fans, who would you want and who are some of North's best players, Paul Curtis is always on that list now. So he could be anything. I love PC. And look, I don't want him to get suspended either, but that's more about the MRO fixing their brains and actually using some common sense. I don't know, is it Greg Swan or someone, whoever this bloke who's come in to be a footy person in charge of footy things. Let's see if they actually do anything, because that suspension last year was shambolic, along with the Jackson Archer one in round one as well. That was absolutely shambolic. They're two of the worst I'll ever see. You could show any fan of any other sport in the world who is in the wrong there, and it would not have been the North Melbourne players.
No, and I think I don't want PC to change the way he plays either, because he is that player that we want to see, like a Constanti or a Cooper Harvey, to kind of model their game off. Like, he is the complete player. He is brilliant on the defense and aggressive and pressure and the tackling force that we get from him, as much as he is a goal kicker. But I think we finally found a method for the forward line where we can see it functioning at its peak. I mean, for the first time since 2018, I think it is, we had 3 players kick over 30 goals for the season. We haven't had that for a really, really long time. And all of Larkey, Zerha and Curtis missed games in season 2025. So had all of them played the maximum amount of games, and we probably would have seen 40 goals from all of them. So I think, and that's where the Jack Darling thing comes in, or any like reliable key forward to play alongside Larkey, because for so long we've had so many different guys rotating through there, and Zerha's had to play that role a lot more than he probably should have. So I think we kind of have that mix right finally, and now we can really put it to work. And it is important to have these like elite crumbing small forwards, like what we hope a Doveston will be, or if we can get a Constanti or a Cooper Harvey to kind of mould themselves into those players as well. So I think for Paul Curtis, like, he's electric. Like, he is an X factor player. And yeah, if we can just get him to stay on the park and no more silly suspensions, I know that they were silly and not necessarily silly on his behalf. But if we can really get him, like, playing every game of footy, we'll be on a really, really big winning streak for that.
And add Dersman to that list too, if he can find his form. I mean, he's a goal kicker. We've seen that too. So there's goals in this North team, and the defence is building. So, geez, you're getting me excited, Marnie. Maybe your premiership call's not too far off. My last present until we go and we have a nap on Christmas afternoon, which is always the best time of Christmas. I want Vicky Wall to come on the Further North podcast, Marnie. I've been wanting this for 3 years now. She's too big time for me, and that's the problem. We're slowly weeding our way in. We've got a couple of connections in the W now, Erica, Blaheen. I've got some sort of Irish in me, clearly. So, us Irish folk, we hang out and we're friends, and there's one that's left to conquer, and it's Vicky Wall. And I want Vicky Wall to come on this podcast because she's my favourite athlete of all time, and I need to ask her how she's so good at everything she does. So, Vicky, if you're listening, or anyone out there can get Vicky Wall on this podcast, please, Vicky Wall, you need to be on Further North.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really great wish to end on. I think there would be no one more deserving to interview Vicky and have her on as a guest than you, Josh. So anyone, if there's any way you know how to make this happen, I'll definitely put my thinking cap on as well and see if it's something we can tee up. But yes, I would love to see that. It would be a bit of a love fest. It might just be you gushing over Vicky for 45 minutes. But hey, I would pay good money to see that. So let's see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, true. Subscriber-only content would be unbelievable. Me just seeing there going, Vicky, well, you're the greatest human I've ever seen. She's like, why did I agree to this? This sucks. So, look, even though she might not have a great time with all the compliments I'm going to give Vicky Wall, everyone else would probably enjoy watching that. So, look, if there's one person I know that can pull some strings, it's Marnie Cohen. So I'm sure now the cogs are turning. This is going to happen within the calendar year of 2026. I'll hold you to that too, Marnie, even though you've genuinely said no words just then. Do you have any other presents to open, Marnie, or is that it?
That's it. I love that we were so in sync for a lot of them as well, but I think that just summarizes the way we work.
Yeah, like a girls' share house. We've all synced up and we're all on the same page now. We can lie on the couch and eat chocolate together, and it's just we've bonded and it's a fantastic time. Like we've bonded with all the audience that are listening to this. So thank you, everybody, for listening to our very North Melbourne Christmas with Josh and Marnie. That's a really nice title for a book too. I think we need to get that in production. There's maybe the first merch I'll ever put out is a coffee table book, which I'm just spitballing right now. But hey, if you guys want that, you put that in the comments below. But put your North Melbourne wishes. What do you want for North Melbourne Christmas in the comments? I'm going to go read them all, and I'll reply to the funny ones and try and interact as much as I can. Either I'm a bit of a tired boy and I'm going to go have a nap. But hey, subscribe. Follow along on the socials. You know where it is. You guys know Marnie Cohen. She's always around. Kanga TV, all the good stuff. If you don't know Marnie and her work, I'm surprised, to be honest, at this point, because she's probably the biggest stake in North Melbourne to ever sort of exist, to be honest. So, look. It's Goldstein deserves a statue, then Marnie Cohen outside.
Maybe the two of us can stand out of Arden Street together, me and Goldie.
That's right. We can a statue of Goldie with you on Goldie's shoulders up like this, and it's about 11 feet tall. And about 8 of those feet are Goldstein as well. So
yes, definitely.
Let's get that into production as well. We're going to crowdfund that for 2026. I think that would be fantastic.
Please don't do that.
All right, it's time to end this. It's getting too rogue, Marnie. I'm losing my head.
It is. But before I go, 2 things. Everyone listening, have a very Merry Christmas, happy holiday period, safe, good times with your family, friends, whatever you do. And Josh, congratulations on another epic year. I think I can speak on behalf of all the Further North listeners. Another monster year and some epic listens in our ears and on our screen. So cannot wait to see what you've got planned for 2026.
Well, thank you, Marnie. Yeah, I've done, it's been about 90 odd episodes and I'm a bit tired. So, yeah,
he needs a nap.
I'm going to, I do need that nap, and I'm going to take a few weeks off here. And I think Further North will return maybe like mid-Jan or early Jan or something like that. My birthday's 10th of Jan. I'll celebrate that. Then I'll be back after that. And look, I'll throw it back at you, Marnie. Kanga TV thriving, as we know, interviews galore over there, North stories galore. And if you're not subscribed over there and you're subscribed here, what are you doing? We come as a package deal, and you need to be attuned to both of the channels because there's a lot of collabing going on. And every time me and Marnie get together, like we've said, we've synced up, we're on the same page, we've basically got the same brains. Personal life for me, I'm an adopted baby, right? I'm kind of thinking maybe I'm part of your family from birth, Marnie, and they adopted me out. I don't know. We're too similar. We don't look the same, though, to be fair. I mean, we look very different, but hey. Well, that's true, but you never know. Chromosomes and stuff, all that. I did biology. I know what I'm talking about.
All right, we can go and get a DNA test after this.
I think that's a must now. Now I'm actually really confused. All right, me and Marnie are going to go have a little chat off screen now because we have some things to dive into. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the year, everybody. I can't believe how many people listen and talk to me and say hello when I'm at games and just love the podcast. So if you are a subscriber or a listener and you've been here, thank you so much because I couldn't do it without you guys. I never thought people would listen to me talk about North Melbourne, and I apologise for all my bad takes, but hey, this is what we're here for. So thank you to everyone who's listened to one or all 90 episodes of Further North this year. And I'm sure Marnie feels the same for her platform as well. We're both very grateful that anyone gives us a platform for North Melbourne. And that's why we're going to keep bringing it to you in 2026. We're going to be here for the ups, the downs. We're Let's hope there's more ups though, please. And yeah, we're going to celebrate the premiership together from the wild card. So Marnie, it's only, under 12 months until we win the premiership from the wild card. So count that down. Thank you for joining me once again. And you'll be on the podcast in 2026. We know that.
I will be. I'll see you all then. Have a nice holiday period, everybody. Stay safe. Get ready for that premiership.
Talk to you soon. Yeah, absolutely. Get the flags out now. I'm sold.
I've got mine already. I'm ready.
No surprise. No surprise. Oh, dear. All right. See you guys. Thank you so much for the year.
Bye.